Speech in video games has been kind of weird. Sometimes it's a worthless skill, in others it's stupendously overpowered. I've been thinking about it for a while. What is the best way to implement such a skill? Then I played Fear and Hunger 2 Termina. Oh my god, I think this game does speech the best. Like, oh my god. It's not just a skill, but like how it's used, it's really clever. It's very smart. The dev, Miro, went, haha, I'm going to inject the best speech system ever in a video game. The dev has gone mad with power. I do genuinely believe the speech system in Fear and Hunger 2 is the best. I will explain why, however I also wish to compare it to speech in the Fallout series, because those games are famous for the speech skills. Spoilers for both Fear and Hunger 2 and parts of the Fallout series. So yeah, I definitely recommend you play Fear and Hunger 1 and 2, you know, both of those games, and I highly recommend Fallout 1, 2 and New Vegas, but like, you know, I can't help it but spoil those games a bit, so, you know, best to play those games before watching this video. But then again, Fear and Hunger is a game series which is kind of difficult to recommend because it's reasons. In addition, I want to thank NoCommentary for the footage I'm using for the Fear and Hunger 2 segment, because oh my god, they've covered every single speech skill on every enemy and that must have taken forever, so check them out, links in the description. And Lunacy for the background footage of Fear and Hunger 2 I'm using. So yeah, thank you. And one more thing, I know in Fear and Hunger 2 the speech skill is called Persuade, but I'm gonna call it speech just to keep things simple. Thank you. So, let's get our limbs chopped off, shall we? Then pray to Salirion. So, speech in Fear and Hunger 2 works differently compared to other games. The speech skill tends to be used in conversations, cause you know, speech is the talking thing, duh. However, in Fear and Hunger 2, to use the speech skill you have to use it in battle. To do so, you need to use a turn to talk to the enemy. That's very dangerous because you can lose limbs, die, or even suffer a horrible fate in Fear and Hunger 2. I need to emphasize this. In Fear and Hunger 2, your turn in battles is very precious, and a single turn can make the world of a difference, so even to just use the skill comes at a cost. Now, I need to mention this because I know someone will bring this up. There is another skill called Diplomacy that allows you to talk to the enemy at the start of the fight without costing you a turn. In a way, you negate the drawback of using the turn to talk. That's nice. Okay. Talking to an enemy is kind of risky, but once you do use the speech skill, it must be good, right? Hahaha, no. Well, kinda? You see, the speech skill doesn't work on every enemy, and it doesn't give you an easy way out of fights like other games. Look at Mr. Needles. Say hello, Mr. Needles. You could use your speech skill and say, hey, you let me live and I let you live, yeah? And then this clown motherfucker will just laugh at you. Your speech skill did nothing. Why would it? Needles likes to red rum, and is crazy, and likes to stab you with needles. The fuck your speech gonna do? And I actually like that. Speech doesn't work on everyone. It feels real. Not everyone is going to be persuaded by speech. You're not overpowered. Speech is just like any other skill. It works, or it's not effective at all. Now, it's not completely worthless. It does have its uses. Using the speech skill on some enemies may change their behaviour in battle. Sometimes they will be less aggressive, or it leads them to miss more often. But remember, it doesn't give you an easy win, unlike with most video games that have a speech skill. In addition, what I love about how Fear and Hunger 2 handles speech is that sometimes it's best not to use a speech skill, instead just regular talking. Wow, that's actually really neat. I wish more games did this. Sometimes not using the skill is better than using the skill. That concept is hella cool. For example, fighting the enemy Vile by simply talking to him can lead him to die instantly, but you only have to use talk though. If you use the speech skill, he just laughs at you. That's pretty dope. Moving on, this may be a little petty point, but I love how the lines themselves, like the actual dialogue for the speech skills, made sense depending on the situation. For example, when using it on the villagers, you tell them, "What's wrong? What's happened? Something's not right. Let me help you." Or, with some of the more monster-esque enemies, the dialogues are like, "Can you understand me? I don't want to fight. Please don't attack," etc. It's a small detail, but I love that. And trust me, when we get to the Fallout section, you're gonna see how sometimes speech skill dialogue makes no sense depending on your character. So yes, the dialogue for speech skills in Fear 102 is amazing, and honestly, the dialogue in general is masterful. So yeah, it's good. It's bloody good. So like another little detail I love about the speech skill in Fear 102 is that when you use it on enemies that somewhat still have their humanity, such as a face, or having a mostly human body, etc., the speech skill somewhat works, but enemies that have a lack of humanity, such as being too deformed, or having a more monster-esque body, the speech skill doesn't work. I really like that detail. Speech itself is a form of human communication, so when the humanity is gone, it ceases to be of any use. The dev handling speech like that is super hella cool and smart. I can keep praising this game so much. Alright, I gotta mention my personal fave use of the speech skill, and it's with the enemy Stitches. By the way, my favourite enemy in the game? Total waifu. No, that's a joke. That's a joke, Raiders. Marina is my waifu, best girl. Then it's followed by Samari. But you know, I still like Stitches. She's cute. She's cute. So, you use a speech skill on her, but she can't talk back because her lips are sewn. Of course it is, I love this game so much. But she still reacts. She wastes a turn making herself pretty by fixing her hair and admiring her own body. This only works once though, and arguably one of the few times a speech skill gives you a massive advantage in battle. Stitch's fight is an incredibly difficult one, because she can stun lock you. Plus, it makes sense why Stitches admires her own body, because her body is stitched by different people, even her own face is made up from others. She's proud of her work, her art, you know, she's an artist. Mind you, a messed up one, but still an artist nevertheless. Why is this game so smart? And it's like she's not even an important enemy, she's just a regular enemy, yet she's so memorable. I love her. So, overall, speech in Fear 102 is the best because it feels like actual speech. You're not stupidly overpowered, it doesn't work on everyone, sometimes it's best not to use it, but it does have some uses. It feels balanced. It feels like a skill, like any other skill, and not some overpowered godlike move. Here it comes, the part I start to explain why speech in Fallout isn't great compared to Fear 102. To be honest, speech in Fallout is a mess. Let me just say this up front, I love Fallout 1, 2 and New Vegas, but I still feel like it's important to criticize games you love, and like those other games in the series I highly recommend, so you know, play them. If you're going to play any Fallout games, please play them, they're really good. And don't worry, later on I will mention the moments where speech is really good in Fallout. In addition, I know someone will say, Marceline, these games are different. In Fallout, being overpowered is part of the fun. Okay, but you can still learn from Fear 100. Personally speaking, I'm someone who loves to do a pacifist / intelligent / charisma / speech builds in Fallout. But even I have to admit that speech has its issues. Plus, this is my video, I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about. Marina is best girl, checkmate. So, there are two really big issues regarding speech in Fallout. 1. It allows you to bypass 99% of fights. Number 2. It works 100% of the time when you have a speech check. That is stupidly overpowered. To name an example, in Fallout New Vegas, the last part of the quest in Bye Bye Love, you must escort several sex workers to safety and away from the abusive casino owners, but a whole mob of dancers packed with powerful gear trap you, and with a speech check, they go, and run away.
Well, if it isn't our whore Joanna. And I don't believe this, Carlitos. We had you in the whore clock from the start, but we thought Carlitos would be long gone by now. He should have fled with the caps he stole from the family. We Omertas don't forget. And now's time to pay for your offenses. What mission? What are you talking about?
Oh no!
All the dough. Kachino once said this traitor flipped with thousands off the record. Why wasn't I informed?
It's no use!
I see, yeah.
The thing is, they outnumber you. The sex workers you're protecting are very vulnerable and can die quickly. They have you trapped in an area where you can't protect yourself or the sex workers well. Not to mention, they have some really powerful equipment, meaning they can gun you down quickly if you're not well equipped. They have an advantage, a massive one, but they run away like chickens with a simple speech check. No, they don't become less aggressive, or some of them backing away. You get an instant win, an easy victory. This happens with almost every speech check, every speech skill. You get what you want all the time, whether it's more caps for a quest, or making a battle not happen, or getting more information from an NPC. You get what you want every time. And you know what? I don't blame people who hate the skill. Other skills you need to work for it, and then make it work. Speech in Fallout is like an easy mode. It makes the game so much easier. If the speech skill in Fallout was in Fear and Hunger, it would turn the game from a cruel and harsh experience to, my skill lets me win. Haha! I don't mind that speech skills work in Fallout, but it's the fact that it works 99% of the time. So like, remember how I said I was being petty that in Fear and Hunger 2 the actual dialogue of the speech skill makes sense depending on the encounter? Well, in Fallout, sometimes the dialogue itself doesn't add up. Now, I'm gonna arguably use the most memorable final boss in the Fallout series, the Neus, in Fallout New Vegas. You can use a speech skill to avoid fighting him, and he actually backs away. The dialogue itself is so amazing. I love this encounter. The issue rises regarding your character. The speech skill dialogue requires your character to know about the history between the NCR and the Legion, understanding the wars that have taken place in the Wasteland, military strategies, visiting areas that have been destroyed by the Legion, and so on. The dialogue used for the speech skills needs your character to know all of these things. Or you could have a character who doesn't know shit and still have the same dialogue. How would your character know what to say when they don't know a thing? It's always a possibility, and it's always bugged me. Or how about the interrogation with a Legion officer? Suddenly you know the language the Legion use. When the fuck did I learn that? Arcade, a party member who actually knows the language the Legion uses, by the way it's Latin, how did he learn? Of course, he used books and audio. Your character doesn't, but knows anyway. Kind of sussy. In Fear and Hunger 2, each dialogue regarding speech skill makes sense. It fits the situation. I have to say this, I love Fallout New Vegas. It's my favourite Fallout. The dialogue is amazing. It's just bizarre when my character knows shit out of the blue and knows what to say. And you know what, maybe you're saying, oh Marceline, girl, you're being petty. But I have to be. I have to praise Miro for making dialogue work so well in their indie game. If I'm not being petty and I don't mention this, I feel like I'm doing a disservice or injustice to how great the dialogue is in Fear and Hunger. Petty or not, I don't care. The dialogue is amazing in the Fear and Hunger games, both of them, and I will keep saying that to my grave. Next, in Fallout 3, speech had an interesting chance-based system. Sometimes even with high speech, you would fail. That's really cool on paper, but in-game you could just save scum until you pass it. Todd, that's bad. That's really bad. Todd. In Fallout 4, yeah, 99% of speech sucks in that game. Like, they nerfed speech skills so hard. You use it to, get more money? That's, pretty much the only use. But there is one case where it's pretty fun and good, and I actually think it would be really cool if Fear and Hunger did this as well, and we'll talk about that in a bit. Ooh, mystery! With that spanking out of the way, it's not all bad in the Fallout series. Some cases, speech is done really, really well, and I even think Fear and Hunger could learn from them. Let's cover them. In Fallout 4, there's one situation where speech is actually pretty dope. That's when you're encountering Steve Malone and Darla. If you have a high enough speech, you can encourage violence and make them attack each other. That's actually really cool. Making enemies fight each other, it's a neat way of handling a group of enemies. You don't see that often. And you know what, I think that would be really good in Fear and Hunger. Might be a bit overpowered maybe, but it's really fun. So like, I know I just went over how using speech with the Neus in Fallout New Vegas may make no sense sometimes, but there is an alternative use of speech that requires you to seek an NPC named Neus. He tells you to trick him and prey on his fears. So to trick him, you need to listen to the NPC, then with enough high speech, talk to the Neus, and the option appears, and you can actually trick the final boss of the game into retreating. That's actually really cool. The concept is really neat, like you have to speak to an NPC who then gives the player an option to talking down the final boss. It makes sense too. Like the dialogue, it's actually really good. In the Dead Money DLC in Fallout New Vegas, using a speech skill on Dean, the sexy ghoul motherfucker, will lead him to betray you and become hostile. This means to save him, you cannot use your speech skill. That's a nice change for once. It also makes sense. Dean is very prideful, and by using a speech skill on him, he feels undermined and threatened. I wish Fallout did this more. In Fallout 2, speech is worthless on Frank Harrigan, the final boss. That's it. Like, he's a child murdering patriarch. No shit, speech isn't gonna work on him. And I'm saving the best one till last. And in my opinion, it's very unique and creative way of handling speech in the Fallout series. In my opinion, it's the best one, and that's the encounter with the Master from Fallout 1. There are many ways to deal with him, however, for me and many others, the canon way of handling the Master is through speech. You talk to him, and you explain how his plan to unite everyone is flawed. He denies it at first, then he breaks down. He discovers that his plan is really flawed. And, well, he feels guilty for all the victims who suffered for his master plan. He then believes he is a failure. And then his last words to the player is about holding on to your hope. And then he commits suicide. It's honestly emotional. Honestly, the master isn't a villain. He's just another person, trying to survive in the wasteland. And in my opinion, he's not wrong either. Like, his plan makes sense. However, that is easier said than done. To do this, you need three things. Your character must have high intelligence, must have the physical data that explains the flaw of the master's plan, and has to have high speech. Let's cover each one. The intelligence requirement is something people tend to not know about because in Fallout the rule of thumb is when you make your character, they should have high intelligence because you gain more XP and more skill points when you level up. But yeah, if you have a low intelligent character, the master's like, can you even understand me? Not even my mutant goo will save you. And then he attacks you. So yeah, you have to be intelligent or else you can't even talk to him.
Do you join the Unity, or do you die here?
Join.
Die!
Join.
Die! I doubt even the FEV will
Help.
you. Why am I talking? It's unlikely you even understand.
Bruh.
Next, the physical data. You need to prove his plan is flawed. Speech alone won't cut it. The game is actually really sneaky here. You can actually install the data into your Pip-Boy, meaning lots of players will remove the physical data to make infantry space. The master won't accept the data in your Pip-Boy. He will attack you. A lot of players mistakenly remove it. That's a sneaky trick the game pulls, and I love it. Last and not least, speech. Unlike the other games, and even Fear and Hunger 2 where it tells you which lines are linked to the skill, in Fallout 1, it doesn't tell you. When talking to the master, the speech skill will give you multiple lines, and some of them will fail, and this will lead the master to attack you. This is so amazing. Your speech skill can fail you when talking to the master. Fear and Hunger 2 could definitely learn and do something like this. You know, mix it up with some herbs, though. But in a way, it does do this. There's one encounter when you fight a priest. If you talk to him and use your speech skill on him, he suddenly wants an item you may have or may not have. You can make him passive and peacefully avoid the fight if you give up the item. It's cute. So yeah, the Master in Fallout 1, the best final boss in the series, with the best speech skill encounter in my opinion. For real, he's the best character in the series by far, and it's not even a competition. I don't think they can even make a character so amazing as him. Alright, before we reach the conclusion, haha, I'm so witty. I know one of you raiders will say, Master Lean, there's also alternative ways to make speech less overpowered, which is to split it up into other skills, such as having speech, intimidate, and banter as their own individual skills. This isn't a bad idea. By doing this, it definitely spices up the gameplay. The issue rises when it comes to consequences of using the different speech type skill. Fear 102 and Fallout 1 does the whole intimidate skill really well. You feel the consequences. The other Fallout games, not so much. Fear 102 has an intimidate skill. It's very different compared to the speech skill. How? Well, the game's already hard enough, but with the intimidate skill, you're making the game even more harder. Every enemy wants to kill you dead, but when you use the intimidate skill, 99% of the time, the enemies want to kill you dead even faster. How nice. Now, there are a few benefits of being an arsehole, but let's be honest, it's more for the memes and jokes. Now, what I really love about this skill is, remember earlier in the video when I said that speech works more on enemies that are somewhat human and not so much on the monster ones? Well, because Miro is the devil incarnate, for some reason even the monster-esque enemies understand when you're being an asshole and they want to kill you faster. Even Stitches has a cute reaction of being intimidated, but I ain't showing you. Go and play the game. It's cute. It's very cute. Fallout 1 also makes Intimidate good too. People legit hate you and you really become an arsehole. In addition, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think it's more worse to intimidate in Fallout 1 than in Fear 102. So like in Fear 102, you piss some people off in fights. Okay, not the best thing in the world, but you know, you piss them off. In Fallout 1, no one wants to talk to you. You start getting a bad reputation, meaning you can't do some quests. You miss out on info you need. You miss out on the lore. You miss out on a lot of content. Fallout 1 is talking to people 99% of the time, so not being able to talk to them is kind of a bad thing. Plus, speech won't save you. You can't say sorry. You are locked out from talking to NPCs the whole game. Maybe in Fallout 1 that was a bit extreme, but you felt the consequences, and that was cool. It's too bad they removed that completely in the later Fallout games. Now you can say sorry with high enough speech. I know that's cool too, but like, you can do this with most NPCs. They act like nothing has happened. The weight of intimidating is no. I guess everyone in the Fallout universe accepts apologies now? Like, in the real world, some people just go, fuck off. Like, okay, personally, if someone tried to threaten me, then the next second go, sorry. I ain't talking to them. They can piss off. So like, it's nice you can say sorry, but in Fallout, they gotta make sure not everyone will be like, oh, okay, I will pretend you didn't threaten me. Let's be besties. I'll give you all my money, and I'll tell you everything you want to know, because you have high enough speech. Yeah! Future trans mama here. So like, I just want to give an honorable mention to the perk in Fallout New Vegas called Terrifying Presence. This is actually a really cool way to include intimidation in a Fallout game. I just remembered it like in editing because I was like, wasn't there something to do with speech perk in that game? And honestly, it's actually a really fun perk to take. And if you do use it, you have to like take it and use it on every opportunity you can. But yeah, I remembered that. So yeah, of course, only the Fallout New Vegas, the game that was made by the previous devs from Fallout 1 and 2, do they have this option. None of the Bethesda ones have this, so yeah, just another a really small but, you know, a cool way of doing speech. The video is coming to an end. I know I have been very cynical and critical of the Fallout series, and I am aware both Fear 100 and Fallout are very different and the devs had different visions of their games. In Fallout, being OP is the norm, but in Fear and Hunger, it's being oppressed, the video game. No, seriously, it's so fucking cruel. For real, I genuinely believe that video game devs can learn from Fear and Hunger 2 regarding speech. It has its uses and its limitations. It's not overpowered, but may help you turn the tide of a battle in your favour. Even the smallest moments can make the difference. If devs didn't make speech overpowered, most players wouldn't find the skill so controversial. In Fear and Hunger 2, speech feels right. It feels balanced. And that's the video. I hope you raiders liked it. I always wanted to talk about speech skills in games, and I couldn't find a game that I felt did it right. And I'm so glad I played Fear and Hunger 2. It really displays how far a small game engine can go, and it really is like one of the best examples of speech being done right. And also the fact that it's an RPGMaker game? Like, holy shit, it's so good! So yeah, Raiders, what do you think about speech in video games? See ya! But wait, there's more? Marina is best girl, and you can't change my mind. And no, your speech skill won't work on me.